Okay, hi. I decided it would be easier to make a quick video about this than to take pictures. So here's my old takamine on the wall in all of its glory. It's about 30 years old now. It's mid-80s takamine cedar top. It's got a whole lot of plane marks on it because I've ridden it hard and put it away wet a bunch of times. So here's the EMG pickup. You can see it's just basically I just cut a hole and mounted it there near the bridge. I experimented originally with a Seymour Duncan pickup, but I found that passive pickups were really hard to get to not hum really badly because there wasn't the same ability to shield and tie things together. Like there's no way to easily take the strings and ground them to the pickup because of the nature of an acoustic bridge. The active pickup seemed to solve that, so I went with the EMG mostly for those reasons. It solved my noise problems, but this is also a coil tap capable pickup, so you have to watch out when you put that in. You need to cut about a half of the X brace that goes right through here. You have to cut about half of that away in order to get the clearance to get this in here, which is a little scary. You have to have a pretty sturdy guitar. I wouldn't do this to a Taylor or without. Yeah, I'd be a little frightened. But the Takaminis are kind of built like tanks, so it's worked out just fine. I did put a volume knob and a tone knob. This is all strictly for the electric path, so it follows its own thing. There's a coil tap. When I pull the knob out, I use that a lot. So then what I did was I wired this pickup system and the internal stock acoustic pickup system to two separate wireless transmitters that live inside the guitar. You'll just have to take my word for it because I don't feel like taking this out. But there are two transmitters mounted inside the guitar. So I never plug the guitar in. I never have anything coming out of it. In fact, I don't even have a 1/4-inch jack coming from the electric path. It only feeds the wireless system. Then what I did was I installed on the side here, if I can do three things at once, hold this with my leg. It still has the original Takamine acoustic preamp. I added these switches and these lights because since I no longer plug the guitar in, that is what turns on the preamp for the Takamine acoustics system. So I basically added a switch for that to turn that on. And then these two switches, this turns on the transmitter for the acoustic path, this turns on the transmitter for the electric path and also powers the EMG. Everything powers off of the same 9-volt battery. I go through batteries really quickly, which is why I use rechargeable 9 volts. I can get into that in just a second. But essentially that's how that all works. So this turns the whole thing on and off and wirelessly gets transmitted to the pedal board, and the pedal board is right over here for now. Just as a quick little demo. It's heavily in need of updating. I'm looking strongly at Helix things and other stuff, but right now this is what I've got. I use old kind of hinky wireless systems primarily because it's easy to power them off of a 9-volt. And that made that end easier. Plus, I already owned them. So yeah, I've got an old Samson analog wireless rig for the acoustic. I've got an old Line 6 900 megahertz wireless system for the electric. Digital is pretty clean. Simple tuner. So the electric path runs into this receiver. This receiver runs into this volume pedal. This volume pedal feeds into the HD500. And that becomes my electric rig, and that does its thing. The acoustic runs into this receiver, this old analog guy, runs underneath to a quadriverb. I can't really pick that up to see that without messing things up, but underneath is an Alesis quadriverb GT, old unit from the 80s that I've had since then. It's always been a part of my sound, and it probably always will be. It works great. And then the output of that just gets blended back in through the CD MP3 input in the HD500 so that I can then just use the XLR outs out of the HD500 as my primary outs And oh, I left out that this volume pedal. So it goes. My acoustic goes from that receiver to this volume pedal, and then into the Quadroverb GT, etc. So this gives me volume for my acoustic sound, volume for my electric sound. I can easily, well, especially when I have a shoe on, I can easily do both at the same time, which I often do. And then I use this to change sounds on the electric in all the normal HD500 ways, or as a wah pedal or whatever. It's an interesting system. It's got a couple of drawbacks. First of all, you are still playing an acoustic guitar, so you're not going to be doing any super crazy leads. You're not going to get, super extended sustain out of a system like this, like you would out of an electric guitar. So it's good for delay sounds, good for doubling some clean sounds on top of your acoustic sounds. I will sometimes do some big, thick delay reverb swells with the electric, and I can just, do swells off of stuff or some harmonics or whatever, and that works just fine. The other wrinkle is, since I'm using acoustic guitar strings, the bronze windings are not magnetic. Consequently, the only thing activating the magnetic pickup is the core of these 4 strings, which is significantly less mass than it would be if it were an electric string and it were wrapped with something that was magnetic. The byproduct of this is, if I use a kind of standard mixture of gauges on these strings, I end up with the highest 2 strings being significantly louder than the lower 2 strings. What I do is, and this also makes my acoustic sound better, I use very heavy strings. They're not on this guitar right now, but they will be when I swap them out. I use a 59, if I'm remembering correctly, a 59 and a 46 and a 39 and a something. But anyway, very heavy wound strings, and then I use relatively light, I think a 13 and a 10 or a 14 and an 11 for my unwound strings. And that helps balance it some. It's still a little unbalanced. It's just something that I just sort of play around as opposed to trying to fix. So that's the rig in a nutshell. It's odd, it's strange. People always look at me oddly when I show up with it, but it allows me to sometimes fill the gaps between acoustic sounds and electric sounds. Works really good for worship music. Works really good for singer-songwriter stuff that I do. Yeah, so let me know if you have any other questions. And if you decide to do this and you destroy your guitar, I'm sorry. Hopefully that won't happen.